Welcome to the Monster Lacrosse Rise to 5. I'm Carl Falk. I'm your moderator. That's not important. The two guys who I'm with and the two guys who are going to be answering my questions are the important guys. First, Ronnie Davis. Ronnie, welcome to the program. This is your program. You are the director of Monster Elite Lacrosse.
Thanks for having me, Carl. I appreciate it. And now, obviously, I'm here with my director of lacrosse operations. We call him the Dolo, Tim Parrinello.
Dolo, Tim Parrinello. Tim, this is a little bit of a switch up for you. Lacrosse, not basketball.
Yeah, it's a new arena, and I'm excited to be here. Excited to be with you two this morning.
Well, Ronnie, I want to start with you. Monster Lacrosse. You know what it is. I have an idea what it is. Tell the fine people. What's up with Monster Lacrosse, and why is the Rise to 5 so important?
Well, to start out, just last week, Monster Lacrosse has been named the number 5 team, or I should say club in the country by U.S. Lacrosse U.S. Club Lacrosse, and it's kind of a big deal. Where I think the big deal is the fact that we are in the conversation nationwide with clubs like M&D and Heroes and Yellow Jackets and Florida Select, and we came in at number 5 out of 20. And the U.S. Club Lacrosse ranks, the clubs, they rank teams, they rank clubs, and the final ranking of the year is who's got the best clubs in the country. And we ended up number 5, and we also, we are the top club in the Northeast, from Westchester up to the North Country all the way to Buffalo. There's not another club in the top 20, let alone the top 5. So that's it's been a long journey to get there, and we finally got there, and it's just a huge accolade for our club.
You mentioned the long journey. When did you start Monster Lacrosse?
So Monster Lacrosse was started in about 2011, and we started with 7 kids, and now we're up to 450 kids. We also have a satellite location in Syracuse that we draw from, and every year we just added more kids, and it's grown 100%, 200%, 300% each year to get us to 450. But we started with 7 in 2011, just 7 kids from the neighborhood that wanted to go play in some tournaments beyond what their schools were offering, and we just grew from there, and we had some success early, and that's what really led to our growth of Monster Lacrosse.
Tim, you come along, and you were somebody who built a program at the college basketball. Anyone who doesn't know, Tim won a few championships. I don't like giving him too much credit here at Monroe County Community College. You built a program there. You come in to this program, and now it's a different sport, but building a program is building a program.
That's true. And Ronnie gave me the opportunity to come in and be a part of Monster Elite Lacrosse. And when I looked at it, and I have 2 children in the program, I saw what a great program it was to begin with, from the coaches through the travel, through everything that they did. And Ronnie said to me, "Hey, let's want to get you in here and just help kind of tweak little things in the program." And I was more than happy to do it. And we've gone off and run it. It's a very interesting new arena with a ton of things that we can do in the future. And Ronnie's great at directing us where we need to be. I think this top 5 in the country thing is unbelievable. It's something that we can hang our hat on, and I'm sure Ronnie, in the back of his mind, wants to be number 1 in the country, and will work tirelessly to get there.
Never satisfied, nor should you be. Any athlete and any coach who's never going to be satisfied. 5's great, but the strive to 1, and that will continue. One of the things that you guys helped you get to 5 is your success with the participants. And, a lot of that is on the girls themselves, but Monster Lacrosse in the years 2020, the graduating class of 2020, 2021, 2023, out of 100 girls who went through the Monster Lacrosse program, 95 are playing college lacrosse.
Yeah, we've had tremendous success in that arena. It started with our 2020 class, and that was our oldest and first class of Monster Lacrosse, and they 19 out of 20 of them have went on to play college lacrosse at all different levels. But the majority of them, to be honest with you, are playing at top Division I schools. I mean, we got kids at Notre Dame.
While you say that, name some of the schools that we have participants from Monster Lacrosse.
Yeah, so we got a girl at Maryland. We have a girl at Notre Dame. We have 2 kids at Vanderbilt, Virginia, and every single college coach knows of Monster Lacrosse now, and it's kind of like a feeding ground for them. They come, they say, who do you got for us? And then, most likely the ACC schools and the Big Ten schools that I mentioned are the schools that are calling, on September 1st of each kid's individual recruitment date. So that's been a huge part of our success, is to say, okay, listen, we've got kids, that are going to these top schools, and then the 21 class comes along, right? It's their year now, and now, starting with, we got kids in that class going to Villanova, and another kid going to Notre Dame, and a kid going to Georgetown, 2 kids going to Harvard, my own kid going to Boston College, who's currently the #1 team in the country. So it's like a faucet now. If you're with Monster Lacrosse, then it's almost a guarantee that you're going to have an opportunity to play at a secondary level.
You mentioned your daughter McKenna, who is at BC. BC is the defending national champion in women's lacrosse, which right there, as an incoming freshman, you're joining a program that just won the national championship. But you as a parent, you kind of get both ways here, where you're the director of Monster Elite Lacrosse, so you see the development, but you also have the advantage of having a daughter going through the best program right now in the country at BC. That's got to give you a little bit of an advantage when you start putting your thoughts together, as we talk about program, how do they run the program, and what do you take away from that?
Yeah, well, the first thing is, I was up there last weekend, and I had the opportunity to watch, the fall ball play day. Boston College played Dartmouth, and they played Harvard. And, the biggest thing that I took away from that is, being prepared when you get there. Right. A lot of kids commit when they're juniors in high school. September 1st is the first date that they're able to commit of their junior year to these schools. But then they got 2 years till they finally get to where they committed to. And the speed of play at that college level is the most important thing. And these kids have got 2 years to get prepared for that. So at Monster, that's what we do, is we prepare. We not only get the kids their opportunities at those schools, but we're preparing those kids every single day for when they get to those schools, they can hit the ground running. And fortunately, McKenna played a ton this past weekend, and as a freshman, we were very happy with that. But even if you look at the 2020 class, you got Morgan Schwab from Fairport, who goes to University of Virginia. She started and played every game as a freshman. She was prepared when she got to Virginia to play there in that conference, right? The Sampone twins went to Louisville, right? And they played as freshmen, and now they transferred. Now they're at Vanderbilt. I had the opportunity to watch them play last week in one of their play days, and they started and played, a ton. So going back to it, I think it's just we prepare the kids for that high level of lacrosse, and that's one thing Monster, I think, that separates us from everyone, is we just constantly are able to prepare those kids for the next level.
Tim, as somebody who coached at the junior college level, you had several of your players go on to Division I, and obviously that's going to be a big jump, like what Ronnie's talking about, and being able to be prepared when you get there. What can you take away from your previous life, as the coach, developing kids and getting them ready for that jump, that translates to Monster?
I think there's a lot of similarities. One of the things that I see for what's happening with Monster is that when you come play for Monster and you're in your sophomore, junior, or even your senior year, you're playing basically at a Division I level, because all of the players playing around you are high-level lacrosse players, and you don't get that in other clubs. You're playing, as Ronnie said, you're seeing the speed of the game. Well, now you're playing against other players who are going to go to high-level lacrosse, and you're getting that speed. So you're essentially getting college training against college-type athletes, and that was the same thing that with us at Monroe Community College was you were playing against future Division I or high-level Division II athletes constantly, and that just made you get better. This is not a program that puts 2 or 3 kids into Division I every other year or something. This is a constant flow of good to great lacrosse players from all over our area that get to play each other in practice every other day. You can't get that anywhere else, and that's essential for them to be successful or be prepared for the next level.
We're talking about the highest level and kids going. You mentioned a bunch of the schools and how well they're doing at the Division I level, but there's a lot of lacrosse teams at Division II, Division III. You guys feed there as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We have kids that are just won a national championship, in the Division II level, and we send in kids to Lemoyne who are in that conversation, every single year for a national championship. And we just got a great commit to Connecticut College. One of our 22s committed to Brogan Holborough, committed to Connecticut College. She's been a starter on our Monster Purple 22 team since she came, and she's a top kid. And she chose to go with the academics of Connecticut College and the competitiveness of the Division III game. I mean, to be honest with you, Division III lacrosse is very, very competitive, and I would say 30% of the Division III teams might beat up on the lower 30% of the Division I teams. So that was a big feather in our cap for her to commit to Connecticut College there, to say, look, we're placing kids at all levels, and she's going to be a great player for them.
Your current class is in the process. They're just about to start the recruitment process. I'm sure you've got some people who are in that, and another daughter, Hannah, who plays for you at Canandaigua Academy. She's going to be part of that as both all three, high school coach, the director of Monster Lacrosse, and as a dad. Seeing this when you're on the precipice of getting those letters, getting those calls. Interesting time, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, Hannah's group, she's part of a really special group. The 24 class is very talented throughout the whole country, and especially in Monster Lacrosse. We have 3 teams club-wide with 24s, and she's part of the group that it plays at a very competitive level. So her team name is the 24 Purple, and they ended the summer season as what U.S. Club Lacrosse ranked as the number 2 team in the country. I thought they should have been number 1 because they did beat every single team in the top 10. But I'm sitting back saying, okay, in November, Hannah's going to start being evaluated. They enter their what we call their tour year, right? Is where all the college coaches come and watch, and then prior to they get their boards ready, and then next September, that's when they make their phone calls. Right now, they call and say, okay, we have general interest in this player or that player. So right now, we have a lot of general interest in Hannah, and she's earned it. She works really, really hard, but it's going to be navigating through the next year to figure out what's going to happen with her. And right now, all roads lead to the ACC. She's got a big sister at Boston College. We've heard from Carolina. We've heard from some other schools. So we'll see where those chips fall with little Hannah.
That's just amazing, and take the lacrosse as a parent. Mm-hmm. Got to be so proud. It's just got to be great to see both your daughters excelling the way they do.
Yeah, I mean, you step back from the monster role and you become a dad. Like I was last weekend up in Boston College watching her compete out there. She's playing on the same line as Charlotte North, right? Charlotte North's the best player I've ever seen at any level in the country in a sport, and just to see her out there, playing with her and those other great players. Of course, I'm a proud father, and then I come back and go to practice and watch Hannah at practice, and it's like watching McKenna 3 years later. So it's very exciting time for me, very exciting time for my family. But most importantly, it's a huge time for Monster Lacrosse. And right now we're going through it with the 23 class. I think we have 10 commits so far from just the 23 class. We've got a kid going to Carolina. We got a kid going to Syracuse, kids going to Stanford, kids going to Ohio State. Big schools, right?
And great academic schools.
Yeah, big opportunities. I mean, so far, Monster Lacrosse has 2 kids at Stanford and 4 kids going to Harvard. So,
Fairly impressive.
right.
Well, you mentioned, we talked about the fact you're a high school coach at Canandaigua and the relationships. And, anyone who's going to be looking at putting their daughter into Monster Elite Lacrosse is going to go, well, what kind of coaching are they going to get? Where do you get your coaches from?
Well, Monster Lacrosse is basically hired all the local high school coaches, right? The top ones. We got Nikki Frunze from Victor, right? They're a top team. They're a top scholastic team in the whole country. We also have Liz Monty and Mara Karp. Mara Karp's the head coach at Fairport. Liz is her assistant. Both have great pedigrees in lacrosse. We have Jim DeWald from Rush Henrietta, right? You take all those high school coaches and you put them together, and then you go, then you spread out and start coaching all these kids. It's a huge asset to have these kids being able to play for, under the umbrella of their high school coach year round. Because everything we're teaching them translates into the spring scholastic semester, and the college or the high school coaches are have the kids when they start. We kind of lay back on Monster for a little bit when the high school season starts, and they got them, and they hit the ground running as soon as they get them, and that's what makes Section 5 so competitive, because it's just littered with Monster kids all over the place. And if you go out there on any given night, you're going to see basically 80-90% of all the kids that are starting and scoring goals and playing out there are Monster kids. So it's great to have those high school coaches being a part of Monster and sharing their wealth with our kids as well.
Tim, as somebody who ran a successful program, now you're the director of operations. So you're the overseer of the coaches. You know a little something of what it takes to be a successful coach. Do you sit back and watch and kind of talk to coaches? And how does that work as far as the philosophy within Monster of the coaches?
Personally, I'm now coaching or helping coach at a couple of different levels in Monster, in the lower levels of Monster. And I sit back and I watch these coaches and I'm amazed. I literally go to the desk and write down what they're saying and the things that they're trying to do with the players. I'm just absorbing it. What I really like is that when they're at practice, they're engaged. They are all about the players. It's just an amazing to watch. They are standing on the side waiting for their time to get on the field, and as soon as it's their time to get on the field, they're going, and they put in so much effort. It's just fun to watch. It's fun to watch that, and a lot of our coaches don't have, children playing. They're just there because they love lacrosse and they think it's such a great program that Ronnie started, and I think they like the growth of it. I think they like the opportunity to coach these great athletes.
We've talked about the practice and the philosophies. The tournaments are the payoff for the kids, and in a way, they're probably the most important part as far as college coaches being able to see them. You're seeing kids from all over the country. Where are some of the tournaments that you guys go to annually?
Well, we talk about the Rise to 5 and being in the same conversation as those top clubs. It's pretty much once you're in that conversation, you get the invite to the top tournaments in the country. LAX for the Cure, Mid-Atlantic, the President's Cup. Those are huge tournaments that all the top clubs go to. So where all the top clubs are going to be, that's where all the college coaches are going to be. And it's really important to establish that success early, which we were able to do. So every year now we get as many teams as we need to in those tournaments to play at the different levels. But when I say start early, we had to start in 6th, 7th grade. Going there with our, raggedy pennies and not looking, who's this town team coming into this tournament? And we experienced success. We didn't win the tournament, but because it's like a cage match with all those top club teams. But we did well. We competed, and by competing, it gave us the opportunity to keep coming back to these major tournaments. And now, since we've established ourselves, right? we're in those tournaments, and the college coaches are at our fields watching our players, and I think that's a huge part to our success. Is when the college coaches get to these tournaments, they open up their book. Like, okay, Monster Lacrosse is on this field at that time. If you go, during the tour of a specific age group, you will see 100 to 200 college coaches lining our sideline with their notebooks out, taking notes on our players. So that's really big to be just in that conversation, as we talked about with the Yellow Jackets and M&D and Heroes and Steps and all them, is a huge, to me, it's my crowning achievement just to have someone say, okay, Monster and M&D Black are playing on this field, and to be in that conversation is probably the most impressive thing I see so far with Monster.
We talked about the high end, the high school kids that are about to go on to college. How young do you have teams for Monster?
So we go down to kindergarten, first, second, third grade, and that's when we start our training. We practice quite a bit. Our philosophy is, we're going to offer you 3 or 4 hours a week of practice year round. If we get you 2 of those 4, we're doing really, really good. So we start developing in them early, and the earlier you get into the Monster program, the more success you're going to have. We don't find a tremendous amount of success a kid coming, when they're in 9th and 10th grade saying, hey, I want to join Monster now because I want to play at Notre Dame. That really doesn't happen. You got to start early with us to get into our systems and for us to have the chance to develop you into that athlete, right? If you compare soccer, let's say soccer, Abby Wambach hysteria, right? I mean, one player in how many years here has went to the World Cup and the Olympics, right? Well, lacrosse's fairy tale is not the World Cup or the Olympics, although Olympics are coming in 2028, Carl. But our fairy tale is to be on the big screen on Memorial Day weekend, playing college lacrosse. And we've taken 95 kids and put them in that position to have that opportunity, where other sports, soccer or baseball or football, that they're not getting that amount of kids those opportunities. So starting at a young age is important for us. Like my daughter's team or the 2020 team, they started in 5th or 6th grade, right? And they marched right through it, and everyone said, oh, they're crazy. They're going to all these tournaments and they're practicing a lot. They should focus more on their, something else besides lacrosse. And now they have all these great opportunities. So
there are obviously choices, and Monster is the rise to 5. They're the only ones locally that we're talking about and being in the top 5 nationally. Why Monster? If you're a parent, why Monster?
Well, the simple fact is that we provide everything that you're going to need in order to have your kid prepared or ready. My main goal with my own children were, I didn't know if they were going to end up being lacrosse players, soccer players, violinists, who knows, right? You just never know what a kid is going to turn and want to be, right? My goal was to make sure that my kids were prepared if they wanted to be lacrosse players. So that's what Monster does, is we prepare the kids for the opportunity as it comes. They can make an educated decision. Okay, I do want to be a lacrosse player, and I am prepared to do that, and I am prepared to chase the fairy tale, right, which is the dream, and the dream becomes realistic for a lot of kids playing women's girls lacrosse. So, when you're making your choice, do I play Monster? Do I play for this club or that club or that club? Monster really has no competition, right? We do things vastly different than anybody else, and I'm not saying it's better or worse, but we're preparing kids to play at a high level of lacrosse. If that's what you want as a kid, or if that's what as a parent you want for your kid, you'd be a fool not to play Monster Lacrosse. Some people make their decisions. I had one kid that left Monster, right? That was a part of us, and the kid told me. I said to the kid, I said, hey, you know what? I understand you're leaving. What's going on? She's like, oh, my mom wants me to play for the number 2 team in the country. I said, you're in 7th grade. She goes, yeah, I know. My mom wants me to play for the best team. I go, oh, okay. When you get that type of mindset out of the parents, right? I mean, I can't help to say, you know what? I really like to look at the parent and call him an idiot, right? I mean, you are a fool that you're teaching your kid to pick a club team based on, a 7th grade score of the Goblin games, right? That's a tournament, local tournament. So, with that, if the people listening to this show and understanding why you would choose Monster Lacrosse is because we are the best, right? We have a proven track record. If you are on in our program when it comes to 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, it's pretty much a guarantee. If you want an opportunity to play in college, we are a guarantee. I can't say that about the other clubs around.
What if, and devil's advocate now, what if a kid goes through Monster and doesn't want to play college? Are there other learning experiences and things that they can take out that are going to help them regardless of what they do? Maybe they want to be a basketball player. Do you guys see translatable skills?
Yeah, I mean, lacrosse is translatable to just about any sport. For one and foremost, you got to be an athlete, right? If you choose, we've had a kid from Pittsford, Abby Hopfinger, right? She came through Monster. She was a really good player for us. She had several Division 1, 2, and 3 lacrosse opportunities presented to her, and she's like, I really don't want the job. Right, because when you go to college, and
it is a job.
You accept that scholarship. Sure. It's a job. She goes, Coach, I really don't want the job. She's at West Virginia. She's doing great. A student loving college life, and the friendships that she's built and the relationships that she's built has helped her carry her way to, get an opportunity to go to West Virginia and be, social and active as an athlete. She may be a club athlete there or whatever she wants to do. But I think lacrosse has, given her, it's not just lacrosse, it's relationships, it's your social environment, your friends and so forth that you build. Her friends aren't her friend group isn't just from Monster Lacrosse or I'm sorry, Pittsford, where she's from. She's got kids that she's friends with that she played Monster with from all over the place. So I think that the Monster experience in general, whether you decide to play college lacrosse or not, is really beneficial to a kid.
It kind of reminds me two situations that I know. One, a local kid who was a basketball player, and one who may be one of the best women's basketball players currently playing in the WNBA, Della Donde, the girl from Delaware, I'll use her example. She played high school basketball, went to UConn, decided in a day or two that this is not for me, ended up transferring back home to the University of Delaware, where she decided to play volleyball because her friend was on the volleyball team. She was a great athlete, played volleyball for a year, then went back to basketball because she missed it, and now she's a star in the WNBA. And I think that's important to bring up because as a parent, sometimes you get worried about, is it too much? And I think there's opportunity. If it's too much, there's still a benefit there.
Yeah, I mean, too much is really, what you make of it, right? I mean, it being too much is not a bad thing if you can look at it and make a decision based on what you think is good for you, right? So, but being able to fall back on everything that you've learned, or if you choose to go forward, you have the ability to do that. And like I said, my goal is to make sure everyone is prepared for the decisions that they want to make. Whatever decision they make, they're prepared for. And I think Monster Lacrosse does that, for kids, in our training, in our, our whole environment in general. And we're getting better at the little things. And when I say that, Carl, like at the younger ages, we're doing more team dinners and we're doing more team bonding. And that came with, obviously, bringing Timmy on and having him help with the administrative type stuff. I'm a coach. I want to coach the kids. But Monster Lacrosse needed help with everything that went on around it. And that was, why we brought Tim on and we have full-time people. He's a full-time, person with Monster. We have, this is not a part-time job for us. So we identify places or things that, that we may be insufficient in, and we work on those. But the main parts, is developing and training and placing these kids at a home that they're going to feel comfortable with, and that's what we do best. But we're making the efforts to build up on everything else, and hiring the high school coaches is huge, and having them work with us because they're really good coaches, and college or girls lacrosse coaches are super hard to find. And like I said, Tim coming on board, and this is what we do full time. So when you say why would you pick Monster Lacrosse? I mean, why would you pick a club that has people doing this part time, right? You know, if you want to be a full time lacrosse player, you need a full time support staff behind you, and that's what we deliver.
I find it interesting too that you've gone through it as a parent with McKenna and BC, the recruiting process. I would think with Tim, with your experience at MCC, and Ronnie, both as a parent and as a coach, when a parent has a kid being recruited, it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of questions. To have you guys as a resource to help with some of that has got to be extremely beneficial as well.
Yeah, we also have a full-time, Craig Chamberlain as well, that is one of our coaches and our directors, and basically he's our consultant and college recruitment coordinator. He coached a 2017 team here from Rochester, Lady Rock, that every single kid went on to play Division I lacrosse, and so the contacts that he has in his pocket, and every time a coach calls me and says, "Hey, tell me about this kid," I talked to Craig earlier. He said this. What's your opinion? So we have probably the most knowledgeable staff that there is in terms of college recruiting. The contacts we have with college coaches. I can pick up a phone right now and call Kayla Trainer and say, she's at Syracuse, and say, "Hey Kayla, what do you think of this kid?" Or I got some information for you on that kid. And so they're on our speed dial, and which is a huge help. And when we go to tournaments, I spend the majority of my time talking to them, and in the college coaches tent, and basically giving them the information on the Monster kids. So that's another big part to what we do, is our contacts with all these top division 1, 2, and 3 coaches that I guess the biggest move, Carl, was it went from, "Hey, I got some kids for you. Will you take a look at them?" Now they call me and say, "Hey Ronnie, who do you got? I need a right-handed attacker, right? Who do you got? I need a left-handed attacker. Do you got one?" And I'm like, "Yep, call this person or that person."
It's kind of getting to the point where it's perpetuating itself. And you, Tim, as somebody who built a program that did that, it's got to be. I mean, that's the key to success: having people ready to step in.
Absolutely. It's an amazing process. It's a bigger process because there's way more players with Monster than I had. My typical class was 6 or 7 kids, but the process is very similar, but on a larger scale. Just relatable. It's Ronnie and I occasionally get a chance to go to lunch, and going to lunch with Ronnie is really very interesting because you sit down and then we start talking Monster, and he goes, "Hold, this is Virginia. I got to take this one." All right, 10 minutes, done. He's talking 3 or 4 kids. Sit down. We order our food. Food's about to come. Well, I got to take this to Syracuse. Okay. Next. Oh, North Carolina's calling. So it's, and I can only imagine what his whole day is like. It's such hard work that he is making sure that he treats every player in the program like they're McKenna or Hannah. That he is making sure he's answering phone calls. He's making sure that he's making phone calls for kids he thinks may be under-recruited. So it's the process, along with Craig Chamberlain, along with some of the other coaches. I mean, all of these coaches have been approached. It's a team effort. And, each player that gets recruited is very different. Sometimes the parents like to handle it. Sometimes they want a lot of input from the coaches and the directors. So you kind of got to feel it out and present them, obviously, with the best opportunity for them. And it's we as coaches and as directors, and Ronnie as the head of the program, we don't have to go play at Virginia or at Syracuse or at Hofstra. So we just got to get them visits and get them in the door and let them make the best decision for them. And Ronnie equips them to do that by reaching out to people.
So we've talked about the success of the program and Monster Elite Lacrosse, the rise to 5. You guys are number 5. I'm sure you're not satisfied for that. Where does Monster go from here?
Well, I think, excuse me, honestly, obviously, we're 5, and there's 4 spots ahead of us that we would like. But we just got to keep our nose to the grindstone. We have to keep hiring, the right people. We have to keep putting the right people in place. We have to continue to take care of the group that's right in front of us. Like right now, the 23 group, right, is going through their commitment process. I think we have 9 or 10 commits down. Sue Ellis is working tirelessly to train those kids and get those kids to a level where I am, I'm on the phones, working the college coaches. And so when you say, where do we go? We continue to do stuff like that. Tim's got the administrative, the director role now as far as running a company. We're just making changes and making steps every single day to make us better as a club. So, if we continue to do that, I think that we're going to end up, we could be at 1 someday, or we could be 1 through 1, 2, 3, or 4. But I don't want the ranking is great. The rise to 5. Let me tell you, I couldn't be happier, right? But we're not complacent. We're going to keep striving to be the best we can be, and obviously we're the best in the Northeast. We're the best in upstate New York. But we have other area geographies that we want to put our footprint in. So as long as we just keep doing our day-to-day operations and working hard and adapting to change, I think you're going to see Monster Lacrosse, explode even more. We got 450 kids now. I see us going to 600-700, in the next couple of years. And
you mentioned earlier that you have a footprint in Syracuse.
Yeah.
You say expand geographically. Is that kind of one of the targets initially? Yeah.
So we, last year we had 70 kids in Syracuse, and this year we have, I think, 112. So we've, grown about 40% there, and we're slowly going, into the geographies where we need to develop kids, and Syracuse is the next part because they have really good lacrosse there. They have great youth foundations and everything. So we definitely want to focus on Syracuse and getting those kids. And Long Island Yellow Jackets, right? They're the number 3 team in the country, or club in the country. M&D's number 1, Heroes is number 2. Florida Select is number 4. They're pulling from 4 million people, right? Their players are coming. You go on Long Island, there's 4 million kids playing. People there with the kids playing. So we don't have that luxury. So we have to expand our footprint into other regions in order to get the best kids and train the best kids. And that's what our goal is to get them, identify them, and then train them to be a part of our program.
Is there anything else that we haven't covered that we should cover about Monster Lacrosse?
Yeah, I would just say that when making the decision, and our recruitment of kids, we do recruit kids. We go out and we find who we think identify are going to be players, and we invite them to come to Monster. And I would just encourage everybody to, look at the whole picture, look at, our success and our track record, and not, don't count the Goblin Game T-shirts, right? Don't count the, hey, we went to a local tournament and we won. We're the best team, right? That's not what it's about. We have very great teams, but we are building lacrosse players using a team environment. We're not trying to build a number 1 team, right? Because that can fall apart in one overtime loss in a tournament, right? Where you're not the best team anymore. But if we build lacrosse players using a team environment, which is what we do, the success is going to come with our like we have 95 girls at all these schools, and that's really what the goal is, right? I mean, that's what our goal is anyhow.
Well, guys, thanks so much. Very informative. Tim, new to the role. Best of luck, and Ronnie, congrats on the rise to 5. Keep it going.
Thanks so much for having us, and let's maybe we'll do a follow-up podcast after the fall season just to let everyone know where we ended up.
The rise to 3.
Rise to 3, right?
I like it. Baby steps. Enjoy your day, everybody.
All right, thank you.